Snowstorm winds howled across the frozen Montana Valley as Ethan Cole, a homeless veteran with nothing but his K9 Ranger, stepped toward a rusted Cold War bunker he'd bought for $1,000. He just wanted shelter. But Ranger's sudden growl told him this place wasn't empty, and what they found inside would rewrite history. Ethan Cole had once worn his uniform with pride. U.S. Army Sergeant, 2 tours overseas, medals tucked in a shoebox he'd lost somewhere between shelters. Now, at 38, he owned little more than the frayed jacket on his back and the loyal German shepherd at his side. After discharge, PTSD clawed at his sleep, medical bills swallowed his savings, and job applications vanished into silence. For months, he drifted, from church basements to abandoned cabins, sometimes curling up in the back of a kind stranger's pickup. The world had turned its back, but Ranger never did. Then, one rain-soaked night in a library with free Wi-Fi, he saw it, Cold War bunker, $1,000, as is. No photos, no details, just coordinates and a warning. Not for the faint of heart. It sounded like a scam. It sounded like madness. But it was the only thing within reach. With his last $1,000, meant for winter coats and bus fare, he clicked buy now. Not because he believed in miracles, but because he had nowhere else to go. He didn't know it yet, but that desperate click would lead him to the most important mission of his life. Not as a soldier, but as a rescuer. The red pickup sputtered to a stop on the edge of an endless white plain, its engine coughing like an old man in the cold. Ethan stepped out, boots sinking into frost-hardened snow that bit through worn leather. Behind him, Ranger leapt down, shook off the powder, and dropped his nose to the ground, instinct guiding him before thought could catch up. Before them loomed the bunker, a hulking slab of concrete half-swallowed by decades of snow and silence. A rusted sign, barely legible, read authorized personnel only, though no guard had stood watch here since Reagan was president. Ethan tightened the straps of his backpack, heart pounding not from fear, but from something fragile, hope. This wasn't a home. It wasn't safe, but it was 4 walls, a roof, and a chance to stop running. He took a breath, steeling himself against the wind. But Ranger didn't move. The dog stood frozen mid-step, ears rigid, tail locked straight. That's when Ethan knew something was wrong. Ranger had saved his life in combat more than once. If the dog sensed danger now, it was real. Ranger's low growl cut through the wind like a blade. Ethan turned, confused. His partner had never hesitated. Not during patrols in Kandahar. Not when strangers approached too fast in alleyways. "What is it, buddy?" he murmured, stepping closer. Ranger didn't answer with eyes or movement, just that deep, rumbling warning in his chest. His gaze stayed fixed on the bunker's black maw, as if seeing ghosts or something worse. Then came the impossible, a warm gust of air drifting from the entrance, carrying a faint metallic tang that clashed with the icy stillness. Bunkers don't breathe. They don't heat. They certainly don't exhale warmth in a blizzard. Ethan's pulse quickened. He swept his flashlight beam across the floor just inside. Dust lay thick everywhere, except for a single trail of fresh boot prints leading inward. Ranger barked once, sharp, urgent, and lunged forward, not to attack, but to pull Ethan away. But the veteran pressed on, flashlight trembling, drawn by a dread he couldn't name. Every step echoed in the hollow corridor, the silence so complete it felt alive. The corridor swallowed sound like a tomb. Rust-streaked pipes lined the walls. Icicles clung to the ceiling like frozen teeth, and peeling posters warned citizens to duck and cover. Ethan passed rooms filled with relics. Metal bunks bolted to floors, stacks of ration tins, chemical detectors gathering dust. Everything was perfectly preserved, frozen in 1983, except for those footprints. They led straight to a massive steel door at the hall's end, its edges welded shut with thick, angry seams. But the welds were cracked, jagged fractures, as if something had pushed from the other side with terrifying force. Ranger whined, then turned sharply toward a section of plain concrete wall. He pawed at it, insistent, then pressed his ear to the surface. Ethan knelt beside him, skeptical, until he felt it, a faint vibration, a steady hum beneath the stone. His light traced upward, catching a hairline seam, nearly invisible, cutting vertically through the wall. A hidden door. Cold War bunkers always had manual overrides. Ranger circled, stopped near a rusted shelf, and barked. Ethan shoved it aside. Behind it, buried in grime, was a small lever. He pulled. The wall groaned open, releasing a wave of warm, stale air that smelled of sweat, metal, and time. Inside, the chamber glowed faintly with emergency lighting long forgotten. Medical monitors stood silent, for bags hung empty, and crates stamped "Top Secret" lined the walls. Condensation beaded on every surface, as if someone had been breathing here for years. In the center, bolted to the floor, sat a narrow metal cot. Beneath a thin wool blanket lay a man, gaunt, bearded, skin stretched over bone like parchment. Ethan's breath caught. Ranger approached slowly, sniffed gently, then lowered his head near the man's hand. On the cot's frame hung a clipboard. At the top, in faded ink, Lieutenant Samuel Hart, MIA, Cold War Intelligence Division, 1986. 40 years missing. Alive. Ethan scanned the room again. Syringes labeled Experimental Series 7. Files titled Operation Deep Vault. Government seals violently blacked out. This wasn't abandonment. It was erasure. The bunker hadn't been sold. It had been discarded, like trash meant to stay buried. The man stirred, eyelids fluttering open. His voice cracked like dry wood. "Please, don't shut the door again." Ethan dropped to one knee. "You're safe now," he whispered. Ranger leaned in, offering warmth only a battle-tested dog knows how to give. The frail man reached out a trembling hand, and Ranger nuzzled it gently, a silent promise that he wasn't alone anymore. Sunlight, real, golden, unfiltered sunlight, hit Samuel Hart's face for the first time in nearly 4 decades. He wept silently, hands trembling as he touched the snow. News vans arrived within hours. Within days, congressional hearings were called. The truth spilled out. Hart had been part of a classified survival experiment gone rogue, locked away when the project was deemed too dangerous to acknowledge. The government claimed it was national security. Ethan called it betrayal. He was offered a home, a pension, even a medal, but he refused most of it. "I didn't do anything special," he told reporters. "I just listened to my dog." Today, Samuel lives with distant relatives who never stopped searching. Ethan? He's got a small cabin now, paid for by donations from strangers moved by his story. But every Sunday, he and Ranger visit Samuel at the VA center. They sit on a bench under oak trees, sharing coffee and silence, the kind of peace earned, not given. Because sometimes, the ones the world forgets are the ones who hold its deepest truths. And sometimes, it takes a homeless man and a dog to bring them back into the light. But the story didn't end there. In the weeks that followed, declassified documents revealed that Operation Deep Vault wasn't just about survival. It was about mind control, isolation endurance, and psychological resilience under extreme duress. Samuel Hart had volunteered, believing he was serving his country. Instead, he became a ghost. When the program was shut down amid ethical scandals, officials chose to seal him inside rather than risk exposure. For 40 years, he survived on automated rations, recycled air, and sheer will, talking to the walls, writing journals that filled shelves, waiting for a knock that never came. Until Ranger heard what no human could, the whisper of a heartbeat behind concrete. Ethan didn't just find a man. He uncovered a crime buried by time and bureaucracy. And in doing so, he gave Samuel back his name, his dignity, and his place in the world. If this story moved you, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs hope today. And tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? I read every single one. At Rescue Tales, we believe heroes come in all forms, sometimes on 4 legs, sometimes with scars, but always with heart. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and never underestimate the power of a second chance.